Michael Cohen on the stand.
This trial is a scam and it's a sham and it shouldn't happen.
The moments in court when Donald Trump's one-time fixer was cross-examined by the former president's lawyers as they sought to cast doubt on Cohen's testimony. We have all the details. Plus,
Asian creatives can come in all different type of forms of art, and so that's kind of our purpose.
They're the first Asian American music company in history, breaking barriers and creating space for artists and designers across the Asian American community. In tonight's Prime Focus, we introduce you to the team behind 88 Rising as they pave the way for the next generation. And fresh off her Tom Brady roast, actress and comedian Nikki Glaser joins us and tells us the next big special she has in the works. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more, including Ukraine's push to keep Russia at bay, our exclusive sit-down with President Zelensky on the front line. Plus, this football season is set to be pricier than ever, while it'll cost more to watch all the NFL games. And he's the 26-year-old reaching new heights in his career, now showing fans a reflection of his life one-on-one with Omar Apollo in tonight's Prime playlist. But we do begin with that searing cross-examination of Donald Trump's one-time confidant and fixer Michael Cohen. Trump in court today focused on the witness stand, and his lawyers sought to portray the prosecution's star witness as a serial liar out for revenge. The defense pressing Cohen on lies he told in other cases and accusing him of lying about a key phone call in the Stormy Daniels case and playing expletive-laden clips from Cohen's podcast. Jurors heard him lashing out at Trump and saying, quote, "I want this man to go down." Our Aaron Katersky is at the courthouse with more on today's testimony and what's ahead in the case.
Donald Trump has often seemed tuned out during his criminal trial, head back, eyes closed. But today, the former president alert and riveted, watching his lawyer grill his longtime fixer Michael Cohen, painting Cohen as a vengeful liar whose testimony is not to be believed. Cohen is the only witness to testify he spoke directly with Trump about the hush payment to porn star Stormy Daniels. And today, Trump's lawyers trying to pick his story apart and create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury.
Back up.
Defense attorney Todd Blanche zeroed in on a phone call in October 2016, days before the election. Cohen previously testified he called Trump's bodyguard Keith Schiller to get Trump on the line, and then he and Trump finalized the plan for Cohen to pay off Daniels. But Blanche said that wasn't the real reason for the call, producing text messages suggesting Cohen was actually calling Trump's bodyguard to complain he was getting prank calls from a 14-year-old. Blanche insisted Cohen misled the jury when he testified the call was about the hush money. That was a lie, the defense lawyer thundered. You were actually talking to Mr. Schiller that you were getting harassing phone calls. Part of it was the 14-year-old, Cohen conceded, but I knew that Keith was with Trump at the time. That was a lie, Blanche fired back. You did not talk to President Trump that night. You can admit it. Cohen kept his cool. No, sir, I can't, he responded, because I'm not sure that's accurate. Trump's defense pointed out the call in question was 96 seconds, but Cohen stuck to his story, insisting it covered both the prank phone calls he received and the hush money scheme. The defense did not get into the plan to pay off the porn star, that Cohen took out a home equity line of credit to cover the hush money and that Trump later paid him back. Instead, the defense tried to chip away at Cohen's credibility, painting him as a serial liar, angry, who turned on Trump when he didn't get a White House job. Cohen acknowledged he was disappointed he was never even considered to be White House chief of staff, saying, "I would have liked to be considered for ego purposes." But he repeatedly claimed he never actually wanted the job, preferring what he called a hybrid role outside government, telling the jury there was no shame in being personal attorney to the President of the United States. Throughout his testimony, Cohen has been calm and measured. Today, Trump's lawyers wanted the jury to get a sense of the bombastic figure we've seen before, playing this excerpt of Cohen on his podcast railing against Trump.
You better believe I want this man to go down and rot inside for what he did to me and my family.
Aaron Katersky joins us now from outside the courthouse. And Aaron, what's ahead in the trial?
It's almost over, Lindsay. Michael Cohen should be off the witness stand on Monday, and prosecutors said they have no additional witnesses to call. The defense is still deciding whether to put on a case, including testimony from former President Trump himself. But the judge told both sides to be ready to give closing arguments to the jury as soon as Tuesday. Lindsay?
Could be very soon that this wraps up. All right, Aaron Katersky for us. Thanks so much. With the presidential election quickly approaching, Vice President Harris has agreed to a debate. CBS News offered to host the VP debate in either July or August. Both dates would be much earlier than when Harris and Mike Pence squared off in October of 2020. Still no word on who presumptive GOP nominee Donald Trump will pick for his VP. As previously announced, the presidential debate in September will be hosted by ABC News. I'll co-moderate that debate with World News Tonight anchor David Muir. Now to the White House. President Biden exerted executive privilege tonight to block the release of audio recordings of his interview with special counsel Robert Hur about the president's handling of classified documents. Tonight, the White House says the transcripts are out, so the audio isn't necessary. Now the Attorney General is under fire. Let's bring in Mary Bruce at the White House with the details. Hey, Mary.
Hey, Lindsay. Well, the president is using his executive privilege to try and stop House Republicans from getting access to the audio of his interviews with the special counsel regarding his handling of classified documents. The White House accusing Republicans of seeking to manipulate the tapes for political gain after the special counsel described the president in those interviews as a, quote, elderly man with a poor memory. Now, you'll recall the full interview transcripts, as you note, are already out there, and the special counsel declined to bring charges against the president. Biden now, though, using this privilege, something Donald Trump did as well, at the request of his Attorney General Merrick Garland, who is also warning that politics is at play here and cautioning that releasing the audio could have lasting impacts on future investigations. But, Lindsay, Republicans are not going to drop this. They are now moving ahead, trying to hold Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, in contempt for refusing to turn over these tapes.
They are relentless there. Mary Bruce from the White House. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
We're following severe storms, a tornado watch, and the highest level of alert for life-threatening flooding in several states. Our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z, is timing it all out for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hi there, Lindsay. It's only 4% of the WPC's warnings that go to this level 4 out of 4, so it's quite rare to see on a map. But that high risk is focused on the piney woods of parts of Texas and Louisiana, and it's really tonight where we're going to see that life-threatening flash flooding. Now, let's talk about the timing, and let's talk about the other threats, because Dallas is in their third wettest to date year. Houston has a half a foot or more above average to date. And on top of this, they've got tornado watches all the way through Lafayette, into Baton Rouge almost there. Lake Charles has it, Cameron, Louisiana. And so tonight you'll have to watch not just for tornadoes, but severe thunderstorms also in southeastern New Mexico and West Texas. The flood watch goes all the way over to Pensacola and Mobile. I want to take you through the timing. Jackson, Mississippi, down to Lake Charles by about 10 p.m. tonight has that line blasting through. So if you're driving I-10, a lot of people do late night tonight into the overnight hours near New Orleans, please beware that you could encounter this strong line of storms with damaging winds. And remember, up to 3-inch per hour rainfall rates. And then it kind of slides into Alabama and the Florida Panhandle by 5 a.m. Tomorrow, though, we reinvigorate the atmosphere. Very similar pattern, shifts right over, and damaging wind would be the main hazard. Lindsay.
A lot going on. All right, Ginger, our thanks to you. We are learning more about the man blamed for the assassination attempt on Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico. In a press conference, the gunman has been described as a lone wolf who was recently radicalized following the country's presidential election. The Prime Minister is known for his pro-Russian stance, anti-migration, and anti-LGBTQ leanings. Fico is said to be in serious condition after suffering multiple gunshot wounds. Now to Ukraine, where ABC News was granted an exclusive interview with President Zelensky. What he says he needs to stop Russia from taking Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv. That's where James Longman is tonight with the details.
Tonight, the fight to secure Kharkiv threatens Ukraine's entire war effort. And so, despite near-daily missile attacks, President Zelensky rushed here to boost morale and sound the alarm.
It's an indication of just how serious the situation is that President Zelensky has had to cancel his foreign trips, come here to Kharkiv and meet the men who are fighting to defend this city.
Zelensky handing out medals to some of the 500 soldiers injured in just the past week.
A lot of guys gave their lives.
In an exclusive interview with ABC News, the Ukrainian leader was clearly frustrated by weapon and ammunition delays and the U.S. aid package that had been stalled in Congress.
How serious is the situation right now?
It's difficult, it's serious, so brigades are not totally equipped because of the package which we waited through 8 months.
Is what's happening now in Kharkiv, is this America's fault?
It's the fault of the world, but now the world can help.
The president grateful for American support, It says a priority must be a pair of US Patriot missile defense systems to keep the Russians out of Kharkiv.
If we are speaking about this region, Russia can't occupy this if, for example, 2 Patriots will stay in this region, just 2 systems.
Americans are worried about how much money is being spent in Ukraine. What's your message to them?
All this money, we don't get any money. All this money, they goes to the factories in the United States. And then these factories gives jobs to Americans. And then weapon goes to us.
But today's visit was for the wounded. Vasil is honored by his medal. He was injured by Russian artillery fire. We couldn't even see the enemy, he says. But he doesn't want the credit.
He's clearly proud, but this war is a lot more than about any one man. He's thinking about his comrades, many of whom have died.
President Zelensky also told me he knows Ukraine will be a salient issue come November's election. He is grateful to the American people for the aid that's been provided so far, but he's very specific about what's needed right now in Kharkiv. That is 2 Patriot missile systems. Lindsay?
James, thank you. A temporary pier from the U.S. has arrived in Gaza and will soon be ready to accept deliveries of much-needed aid. Meantime, convoys trying to deliver aid by land are confronting blocks from small groups of Israelis, sometimes with the tacit support of Israeli soldiers. ABC's Matt Gutman reports in from Israel tonight.
New images tonight of that U.S.-built floating pier now anchored to the beach in Gaza, just south of some of the heaviest fighting. About twice as long as an aircraft carrier, the pier will allow desperately needed aid to be brought by ship directly into Gaza. About 1,000 U.S. military personnel involved, but it'll be up to the UN to coordinate distribution, and U.S. officials stress there will be no boots on the ground. The first delivery of 500 tons of aid expected within days.
You should really think of this as a crawl, walk, run. It's going to start off small and scale up.
It comes at a critical moment with fighting in Rafah choking off aid by land and daily blockades from small groups of Israelis. Today, we witnessed these men stopping trucks.
So what they're trying to do is block trucks like this, you can see this kid running, and demand the ID of the drivers. That's how they know whether they're delivering aid or not. Easy.
The soldier offering the agitators information about the aid convoys, then coming out and threatening us not to film it. It comes as Israel increasingly seems bogged down in Gaza. 5 were killed in a friendly fire incident in northern Gaza, where the IDF says Hamas has regrouped.
Matt Gutman joins us now from Tel Aviv. And Matt, back to that pier. How big of a risk is this for U.S. troops?
This is not without risk of exposure for U.S. troops, Lindsay. Israel has guaranteed security on shore, but U.S. officials tell us that there will be American troops stationed at the far end of that pier in order to receive that aid. And right now, they say that's the closest they're going to get to shore. They say they're not aware of any direct threats against those troops, but they acknowledge this is not without risk. They also acknowledge that this is a very complex logistical operation as well, Lindsay.
Matt Gutman from Tel Aviv. Thanks so much, Matt. On Wall Street, for the first time ever, the Dow Jones Industrial Average crossed 40,000. The Dow up about 6% so far this year. The index tracks 30 of the most valuable publicly traded companies in the U.S., including Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft. The recent rally in the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ has been fueled by data showing inflation is cooling, which could signal future interest rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. Tonight, there is growing backlash surrounding the commencement speech by the Super Bowl champion Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker. He talked about gay rights, abortion, and the role of women. Now the NFL is distancing itself from his comments, and the Chiefs have yet to respond. Here's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, the NFL responding to that commencement speech from Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker and his controversial comments about women, abortion, and the LGBTQ community.
I've gained quite the reputation for speaking my mind.
The Super Bowl winner delivering the commencement address Saturday at Benedictine College, a conservative Catholic liberal arts school in Kansas. Butker addressing the female graduates, saying that while they may go on to have successful careers, he guesses the majority are most excited to be wives and mothers.
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
Conservative sports commentator Clay Travis coming to his defense.
I saw people saying you got to cut him. How dare he say it? I didn't even see him say anything remotely controversial.
Butker then referring to Pride Month as a deadly sin.
Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify him.
The advocacy group GLAAD outraged.
I couldn't believe it was such an outdated, antiquated view on LGBTQ people and women and using religion in a way.
The NFL stating Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity. His views are not those of the NFL as an organization. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger.
Our thanks to Stephanie Ramos. Still much more to get to here on Prime tonight. This football season is said to be pricier than ever, while it will cost more to watch all of the NFL games. But next, the first Asian American music company ever is paving the way for artists and designers for the next generation. Coming up, meet the founder of 88 Rising.
Just watching 88, I just felt like they were so connected to the culture growing up. Having them being Asian too, just kind of made me feel like, wow, this is like a really cool thing. I feel like they can give me an opportunity to shine.
Friday night.
She sees Fabio slumped over in his favorite chair. There's blood everywhere and lets out a scream.
An all-new 2020 true crime.
Fabio Cementilli made a major name for himself in the hair industry.
Fabio styled people like J-Lo, Russell Crowe.
He's just larger than life.
Fabio is found stabbed to death on the deck of his home.
Police say burglaries increased significantly in the area.
Celebrities targeted an A-list of victims. Nicki Minaj, Rihanna.
Authorities now investigating if knock-knock burglars may be to blame for the murder of hairdresser Fabio Cementilli.
Irony of ironies, one of the victims of knock-knock burglaries was Fabio Lanzoni.
It was like a made-for-TV movie.
I find out Fabio just got killed. Like my phone started ringing off the hook.
We all thought they were investigating this robbery turned deadly. They knew much more.
There's a twist here.
This is really personal.
That was shocking.
This torrid trail of love and murder.
How can this happen? Who would want to do these things to him?
I remember hyperventilating.
You sure this is right?
Oh my gosh.
I blacked out.
David Muir, Deborah Roberts, the all-new 2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
This is not about parents who just let their kid watch violent movies, play violent video games. This is about parents who neglected their son, ignored his cries for help, then bought him a gun.
The first parents in America to be charged in a school shooting.
They purchased that gun for him and bragged about it.
You don't get to walk away from that. That's a criminal act.
Sins of the parents, the Crumbly Trials.
The opposite of love is not hate. It's just being ignored.
Only on Hulu.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news. Live reporting, breaking new exclusives. Keep streaming with ABC News Live. From the team that brought you the DuPont Award-winning report, a groundbreaking new investigation spanning 9,000 miles. Trashed: The Secret Life of Plastic Exports. Stream free on Hulu.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me.
Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know.
I love that.
Hall & Oates, the iconic duo. Now John Oates on his new music and his feud with Daryl Hall. Tomorrow morning.
Will Hall & Oates ever perform together again?
On GMA.
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been less than a decade since 88 Rising jumped onto the scene, but in the years since its founding, the first Asian American music company in history has been breaking barriers on a number of fronts, from a music label and merchandise hub to an experiential media company. 88 Rising has paved the way for Asian and Asian American designers and artists, creating space for them across the music industry. Our Rena Roy has that story tonight.
If we create something, it's going to be better than anything because nothing existed. We did break barriers, frankly speaking.
From Adarashi Gakko, Joji, and Warren Hugh, 88 Rising catapulting Asian artists to the global stage.
We have like 120 employees. They're all pretty single-minded in terms of like, hey, like we're all going in one direction to uplift like, you know, Asian creatives from around the world.
What did you hear from the Asian American community? I'm sure they suddenly felt this representation in the music world that they maybe didn't have before.
They loved it. As things started to get bigger and our audience grew around the world, not just America, you know, we also feel like we have a responsibility. And like, what is that responsibility? It's to just make really good art.
Growing up, I didn't think Asian culture, my Asian culture, was that cool because I didn't see it in the mainstream. But you played a pretty big role in changing that for Asian Americans with 88 Rising. How does it feel to know that you're sort of an architect of this movement?
I think it's fantastic. We were the first to kind of really be like, no, like, this is what we represent, this is what we stand for, and this is what we're gonna do. I think it's quite special.
Founded in 2015 by Sean Miyashiro, 88 Rising becoming one of the first ever one-stop shops for Asian creatives. Born from a desire to elevate the artists Sean already admired.
I'd look around the table and all my friends were really exceptional at what they did. And they were all in the creative field. They could be a great comedian, a great film director, a great graphic designer. And I was like, you know what? There's no place on the internet that essentially houses everything or celebrates everything.
So from music to marketing, 88 Rising supporting its artists on all fronts.
We do music, we have our own festivals, we'll do video, and we'll make a movie. We might make a musical someday. I'm not kidding, like Broadway, having a Broadway musical or a musical somewhere is my next thing. You know, I swear to God, I'm gonna do it. There's a studio.
It's where the magic happens.
Just watching 88, I just felt like they were so connected to the culture growing up. Having them being Asian too, just kind of made me feel like, wow, this is like a really cool thing. I feel like they can give me an opportunity to shine.
So this is a song that's in the works right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're getting a sneak peek right now.
Warren Hughes signing to the label in 2020.
I repeat it and I bounce back to you. All the seasons drying out. I've been seeing for a while.
Warren tells us while growing up in Indonesia, he was a big fan of hip-hop, borrowing elements of the genre to create his own unique style. Recently releasing his latest single, Split.
I would say sometimes some people would DM me and feel surprised.
I'm gonna rise to the highs, all right.
They wouldn't expect I would do like, you know, this type of music, a blend of R&B, hip-hop. Doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter what type of music you make, as long as like you feel confident about the music you make. I feel like a lot of kids out there, like Asian kids, like they look up to me and I want them to know as much as possible about my story growing up. Just putting your own culture, how you grew up, in your songs are very important, or very important to me at least.
I've heard of Indonesia, but I don't know what the streets look like. I don't know what the language sounded like. And through these artists, so many people probably got introduced to Indonesian, you know, because they're shooting music videos. And I think that that's the point. It's not to change the universe, but it's to bring people a little bit closer, to make an introduction, a friendly handshake.
Since you guys started 88 Rising, there has been kind of a free flow because of the internet and artists borrowing from other artists and cultures borrowing from other cultures. It's kind of become a little bit of a melting pot.
Yeah, I think it is a melting pot, and I think that's the beauty of it all. Like I think that is the intention of music. 88 Rising is, you know, we're just a part of that equation. We're just a small blip in this melting pot. We're a little seasoning.
Taking that message to the stage at Coachella. And 88 Rising's annual Head in the Clouds Festival, now in its 6th year.
There's cheering and support for everybody. This is just the environment that we've created. And I do remember like the second year when I was like looking at this stage, I cried, you know, I cried a lot because I started sobbing actually because, you know, it was a powerful thing where you could just see all these people so happy to be there that there's a festival that kind of represents like Asian artists.
What is it like for you as someone who helps cultivate these artists in this space to see this kind of success?
I've seen pictures of people getting 88 Rising tattoos, and it makes me feel like, God, I gotta keep this going and getting better for them.
88 Rising inspiring other creatives to follow in their footsteps.
I hear a lot of people saying, oh, we want to be the 88 Rising for Africa. You know, we want to be the 88 Rising for India. People see us from afar and they're like, I want to do that.
More and more culturally specific record labels popping up in the U.S. in recent years, like D36. Helping create a global crossover in the music industry.
To see how many people you've inspired around the world, do you feel that this is now your life's purpose?
Oh yeah, it's my life's purpose. People ask me all the time, like, what would you do after 88 Rising? And I'll be like, I would create another 88 Rising.
The founder of the group referred to 88 Rising as the Disney of Asian hip-hop. Our thanks to Rena for that. And you can catch our half-hour special celebrating the AANHPI Community Amplified tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, right here on ABC News Live. Still much more to get to tonight coming up. If you ask to get roasted, she will make sure you are well done. Our Trevor Alt sat down with comedian Nikki Glaser, hot off her performance at the Tom Brady roast, to talk about the event and what's next as she gears up for yet another comedy special. Plus, Olivia Munn's first on-camera interview since revealing her most recent surgeries in her breast cancer battle.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions.
Operational nuclear reactor.
So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work.
Hi.
Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Good to meet you.
Ismail?
David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Here's to Good Mornings in America.
Can you feel the love? Oh, yeah.
Mornings that inspire, filled with hope, kindness, joyous surprises, and so much fun.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Start your day with Good Morning America's ray of sunshine, highlighting the best of America and helping
Make dreams come true.
Wow.
I'm just so happy. It's so good.
get ready to smile and put the good into your morning, America, because
You know what will make the morning better? A little ray of sunshine.
We're trying to get answers for the community at large, even if maybe some of the community doesn't feel like they need those answers.
I have covered child homicides before, and now my daughter's autopsy will be made public one day.
Those who felt her will never know peace.
Did you just stand there and let my friend's child die?
If you want a relationship, a happy relationship, you need to be in control of that relationship.
Andrew Tate is one of many male supremacy influencers.
You see him as this guy that has money, has girls. Basically, he's a god.
His compound, what prosecutors say he ran a sex trafficking business from.
We're not the first affluent, wealthy men who've been unfairly attacked.
You think he raped you?
They never meant for any of this to be public.
Someone has to say there's something wrong going around here.
Andrew Tate, Into the Manosphere, now streaming on Hulu.
Hi, I'm
Andy.
And I'm Sabrina. And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there. And you know what we love? Really love? Pop culture. So what happens when being obsessed with pop culture collides with being a mom? You get us. So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go.
We are heading into the unknown.
It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning. To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
Reporting from the protests at Columbia University, I'm Stephanie Ramos. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. Once upon a time, not so long ago, you could watch every NFL game on broadcast TV or cable. But apparently the NFL needs to make more money, so now games will come at a price. We'll explain in tonight's By the Numbers. Netflix made big news Wednesday when they announced that for the next 3 seasons, they'll carry at least one of the NFL games played on Christmas Day. And get this, all 3 games played on Christmas Day last season were among the top 25 most watched TV programs for the entire year. So how much will it cost you to watch every NFL game this season? Try about $1,600. That's according to Market Watch. More than half that amount, $876, would go toward network games you'll watch on ABC, ESPN, etc., through services like your cable subscriber. But for the other half, you'll have to pay 6 different streaming platforms like ESPN Plus, NFL Plus, and now Netflix. Curious how much Netflix shelled out to carry games on Christmas Day? How about more than $100 million per game? That's according to Bloomberg. And a news flash, the NFL is in early discussions with the Players Association to move to an 18-game schedule from the current 17 games, but we're not likely to see that until after the current players' contract expires in 2031. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime tonight. Omar Apollo is reaching new heights. The Mexican-American artist is reflecting on his life the past 2 years as his highly anticipated sophomore album drops. Plus, renowned roaster Nikki Glaser sits down with our Trevor Ault to talk about her latest comedy special and the rave reviews of her jam-packed set at the Tom Brady roast.
Whenever news breaks,
We are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine. Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland, let's go.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines, from southern Israel. Outside the Gaza Strip.
In Beirut. From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
They call him the beauty queen killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to join the company of a member of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer. Only on Hulu.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
Friday night.
Knock-knock burglars may be to blame for the murder of a hairdresser, Fabio Samatelli. There's blood everywhere.
An all-new 2020 true crime.
Irony of ironies, one of the victims of knock-knock burglaries was Fabio Lanzoni.
My phone started ringing off the hook. There's a twist here.
This is really personal. That was shocking.
You sure this is right?
Oh my gosh, I blacked out.
The new 2020 Friday night on ABC.
We're trying to get answers for the community at large, even if maybe some of the community doesn't feel like they need those answers.
I have covered child homicides before, and now my daughter's autopsy will be made public one day.
Those who felt her will never know peace.
Did you just stand there and let my friend's child die?
Now to an ABC News exclusive with Olivia Munn. In her first on-camera interview since revealing her most recent surgeries in her breast cancer battle, she discussed treatment, fertility, and her future. Here's our Michael Strahan.
Actress Olivia Munn opening up about the private health battle she's been fighting after an unexpected breast cancer diagnosis last year.
I have zero chance of having any cancer genetically. Then my doctor said, there is this lifetime risk assessment test, and I took it for you, and you're at 37.3%, which puts me into the high risk. And she said, I want you to go get an MRI. And that's when they said, well, we found something.
And when you heard the word cancer, what went through your mind?
I mean, honestly, I just thought of my baby. Your cancer is that's the word you don't want to hear. There's a lot of other things that you feel like you can beat, but you know, cancer takes down a lot of people. And I just thought about my baby.
Last April, Munn was diagnosed with stage 1 of the aggressive luminal B breast cancer in both breasts.
And what did they explain to you about your prognosis?
They said that if I was extremely aggressive, that I could fight this and win. But at the same time, once they started finding all of these little spots in my breast, like, oh, there's another tumor, there's another tumor.
Munn getting a double mastectomy just 30 days after receiving the diagnosis. In March, the 43-year-old decided to open up about her experience on social media.
Do it for him, do it for your baby.
Why did you want to document this journey that you're on right now?
Well, because if I didn't make it, I wanted my son, when he got older, to know that I fought to be here, that I tried my best.
You're gonna make me cry.
You want the people in your life, you want the people that maybe don't understand what's going on right now to know that, like, you did everything you could to be here.
Munn shared the 2.5-year-old son, Malcolm, with her partner, comedian John Mulaney.
And how had it been having John there to support you?
I mean, he's honestly just the best human being. He comes to everything in life with so much compassion and understanding.
Because of the potential impacts of cancer treatment on her future fertility, she decided to undergo egg retrieval, something Munn had done twice before in her 30s.
I have a cancer that feeds off of hormones, so I knew there was a risk. And our doctor said, look, we're gonna get one for you, and then we're gonna call it. And then our doctor called, and he said, hey, we got the results back. It's 2 healthy embryos. And we just started bawling, crying, both of us.
Going through all of this, have you learned anything new about yourself?
I've learned that I'm a lot braver than I thought I was. And I learned that the most important thing to me in life is my family. Everything else can go away.
What a touching conversation. Our thanks to Olivia and Michael for that. Comedian Nikki Glaser's star is shining even brighter since her recent comments at Tom Brady's Netflix roast left fans and those discovering her for the very first time wanting more. And now they have it with her second HBO comedy special, Nikki Glaser, Someday You'll Die, released on Mother's Day and streaming on Max.
I'm almost mad at my sister for having kids because the way I feel about my niece and nephew, like, if anything ever happened to them, like, I'd be okay. Like, I'd be okay eventually. Like, at first it would be the worst. Oh, it'd be awful. But then, like, a Taylor Swift album would come out. Like, I would kind of, like, rebound. I would have moments of like, I'm back to my old self.
Our Trevor Ault sat down with the comedian.
Nikki,
Trevor.
great to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
How are you?
I'm good.
I was on a flight yesterday. 4 people watching the roast of Tom Brady.
It's crazy.
On the plane.
I know.
It's still #1 on Netflix.
Yeah.
Brand new special for you.
Yeah.
Everybody praising you. Is this the best week of your life?
It so is. It's never going to get better than this. It's kind of disappointing. Like, it's starting to ebb a little bit, and I'm starting to be a little bit sad. That's why I didn't let too much of it in. Like, when it first happened, it was like, my dreams are coming true. Like, I've been saying it, but I felt like Taylor Swift for a day in terms of seeing my face everywhere. Everyone's talking about me. People are calling me, being like, I was walking by someone on the street, they were talking about you. Like, everyone's talking about it.
You really got to hand it to Kevin Hart, because he can't reach.
How thrilled is Team Nikki Glaser that this coincided with the release of the new special?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, from a marketing standpoint.
It was very advantageous, and there was no masterminding behind it. It was completely coincidental, but it was great. Yeah, so I have the special and the roast. So people now, if they see me come up on, streaming Max, and they're like, I've seen that girl's, I saw on the roast, and they it's obviously more people have watched the special than any of my other specials. I mean, it's like doing very, very well. Yeah. Because of that, but also because it's great. So I'm so glad it's good.
It was the first recommended for you when I opened up HBO Max for me.
Yeah.
I know, so it wasn't masterminded with the roast, but the special opens with, I don't want to have children, and I'm super bummed out when my friends are having children.
Yeah.
The Mother's Day release.
I know!
Was that on purpose?
No, that was totally unintentional. Like, it's all about me literally thinking the worst thoughts you could think about a newly pregnant woman, and it's in a comedic way, because it's like, it's crazy that I would think that, and then also talking about not wanting to be a mom, which I think, I don't know, as someone who has a lot of friends that are becoming moms and celebrating Mother's Day for the first time, this was the first Mother's Day I felt kind of left out. So it was almost nice that I was getting messages from girls being like, you made me feel seen today as someone who doesn't want kids and feels kind of left out, that I don't want them. So I think it was like a little gift to childless women out there.
It's not hard to be a mom. It's hard to be a good mom. It's easy to be a bad mom. That's so easy. But to be a good mom is hard. To be a bad mom, that's as easy as being a great dad.
You talk about deeply personal, deeply intimate, among other things, topics.
Yeah.
How do you determine what's too far for what you share about yourself?
I think that, I've definitely ventured into oversharing, where it's just like, no one needs to hear this, and it's really embarrassing when you do that, but you have to kind of go there to see if it's, oh, that didn't resonate. People are more grossed out by that than they're curious or that they feel seen. So it's generally like, if it's funny, I can reveal it. If it's getting a laugh, if it's just me saying something and people are laughing because they're shocked, that doesn't really interest me.
I'm gonna use the money from tonight. I'm gonna get a brow lift. Like, I just want this. I know I want this because every time I'm stressed out and I'm like, oh God, I have so much to do, I'm like, oh my God, snatch. Like, I'll like look at me and be like, okay, what?
Your comedy has always, but especially on this new special, it's clear that the only priority is that it is funny. But you do a couple different times have something where I'm like, okay, I think that's what Nikki actually really thinks.
It's fun to be able to talk about things that are so shocking and make them palatable. It's like, it is a trick, and it's something that takes a really long time. Like, there's certain things that I feel like, man, I'll never crack how to make that funny, but then I keep at it.
And you just have to kind of keep upsetting people until it gets right.
Well, yeah, but upsetting people in an empathetic way. Like, I don't like upsetting people. I'm not the kind of comedian that's like, yeah, walk out, I'll never apologize. This is who I am. Like, I get things wrong all the time. I'm a dumb comedian. Like, I'm not supposed to be, no one should really follow what advice I give, or I'm just making jokes. So I really do feel bad when I make people feel bad, and I will apologize. I always am like, I'll Venmo you your money back. If you literally have to leave my show because you had such a bad time and you were triggered, I don't want that for you. I'm so sorry. Because I get what it's like to hear about something. I really don't like vegan jokes. I'm a vegan, and I'm so passionate about animal cruelty. And so we all have our own thing. Like, I think I can even get offended sometimes, so I get it when people get offended.
Do you have fans that come up and overshare to you because of your comedy?
Yeah, and that's so nice. I love that, because that is why I talk about the things that I talk about, is because I want them to be conversational. I don't want it to be something that you have to hide inside. So when people are open with me about their trauma, I know I've done something right, because if it's mentionable, it's manageable. And so they can actually, it's not shameful if they're saying it out loud to me. It's awesome.
In the interim, though, someday you'll die. on HBO Max right now.
HBO Max, yeah.
It's fantastic. It was wonderful to meet you, Nikki.
So good to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Trevor Ault and Nikki Glaser's second HBO comedy special, Nikki Glaser, Someday You'll Die, is streaming now on Max. Our next guest is an Oscar-nominated producer and director who's received praise for their 2017 film Strong Island, which won the Sundance U.S. Documentary Special Jury that year, along with many others. Now they're taking on the untold history of American policing in the thought-provoking documentary Power. Let's take a look.
Police power is immediate power. It's right now. Do what I told you to do right now, or else. I decide what happens next.
Policing is inextricably linked to the racial history of this country.
Police associated with colonizers, wealth, and whiteness.
So police targeted people marked as non-white.
Slaves. Indigenous and working class people.
And Yancey Ford joins us now in studio to discuss the film. Welcome to the show, Yancey.
Thank you, Lindsay.
What initially sparked your curiosity about policing?
So it was summer of 2020, after the murder of George Floyd, and I was watching the police response to protests, in response to his murder around the country. And there was something different about the response of police to those protests. It felt, there was just something intangible. It felt more aggressive. It felt more militarized, for sure. And after what we had seen in Ferguson, it felt like we weren't actually taking a step backward from the militarization of police. It felt like we had taken a step forward. And so I started asking the question, is this what police are for, in a way that I hadn't asked before? And it led to, essentially, the development and production of this film.
Do you think that enough people are invested in having this conversation? Because I know that in the Black community, this is something that's talked about often, to the point of joking about, oh, driving while Black or whatever. But do you think that there are enough people really talking about it to actually impact change?
I think that people really want to talk about the definition of public safety and what public safety means to their communities. And if by showing people through this movie how we got to have the policing apparatus that we have today, I think that we can actually give people a common point of reference and a place to start to move that conversation forward.
There are a lot of various conversations happening in this moment in time about policing, in particular the protests that we've seen on campuses across this country in recent weeks. And I'm curious on both sides how it's been handled, what you think about the policing when it comes to college students.
When I see, the college protests that have been happening and the police response to those protests, it takes me right back to 1968. And it really demonstrates for me how policing has expanded over time and how the response to civil unrest has really become as militarized, in policing as the response to crime has. And, when we talk about the people's right to protest, that's protected. But what's not so clear is what the police response to protest should be, which is one of the reasons why in Power we look at this relationship to property and how that relationship to property ultimately led to the evolution of police, as opposed to this idea of public safety.
Do you think that there has been an evolution over time? The way, for example, if you're talking about 68 until now, what, more than half a century ago, do you think that there has been a change in police response?
Over the half century that has happened since 1968 and the protests that swept the country then, I think that policing has become more militarized, not just in the equipment that they use, but in the mentality toward the people that they serve. And I think that that's ultimately one of the scariest things about police in relationship to our democracy, because it begs the question, who is more powerful, the people or the police?
What do you see with regard to the future of policing?
There has to be a moment of reconciliation, right? We have to reconcile a definition of public safety that meets the needs of the vast number of communities in this country with a role that police will play in that definition of public safety that really moves people toward a sense that everyone is protected, that policing isn't just about moving people out of one place and keeping other people safe, but it actually is about a community approach to safety that involves everyone.
Yancey, we thank you so much for coming by. I want to let our viewers know Power is now available to stream on Netflix tomorrow. It is a new era for Mexican-American artist Omar Apollo. The 26-year-old is reaching new heights in his career, and now he's showing fans a reflection of his life on his upcoming sophomore album. He sits down with our Gio Benitez in tonight's Prime Playlist.
Omar Apollo, one of the few artists who can draw a last-minute crowd in the Lower East Side of New York to belt lyrics from his lead single, Spite. But the Mexican-American artist is no stranger to success. Apollo was nominated in the Grammys' Best New Artist category back in 2023.
Omar Apollo.
We up, baby. A feat fresh off his critically acclaimed debut album, Ivory. The project embedded with hits like Tamagotchi, Invincible,
64 hours since my baby spoke to me. He kissed me, now I love his dopamine.
and the single that catapulted his career with over 300 million streams on Spotify, Evergreen.
I didn't really think that song was gonna go like that. I mean, obviously that's like the saddest part of the song, but also like a very healing part. And it's cool because on the album, that was just the song that we spent the most time on. So it was just nice to know that, like, you know, that level of work sees that level of success.
Now the singer-songwriter is ready to share with fans a new era with his upcoming sophomore album called God Said No. Let's talk about the album title. What did you mean?
It's kind of my take on, like, it is what it is, lo que será, será kind of thing. It's not really biblical, but if you can, like, if you want to go there, you could. So it's up for interpretation, but, like, basically, like, there's, like, a higher power that kind of already kind of destined.
Yeah, I mean, there's some moments in the album where it's almost meditative.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I'm a very, like, need to sit in your sadness kind of guy, and music kind of helps that. Like, things come to the surface and facing it and dealing with it and stuff like that.
Omar calling the album his best one yet, with unexpected yet special surprises. One of the things we were all surprised to hear when we were listening to the album, Pedro Pascal.
Well, me and Pedro have been friends for like a while now. There was a song that he really loved, the song Glow, which is the last song on the album. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to hear you speak before that song plays, because the song is about grief and heartbreak. I thought it'd be a really good idea for him to speak on, like, a grief in his life or a story in his life. So yeah, he sent me like a voice memo. I asked him to, and then chopped it up, and that's how it turned out.
And Pascal isn't the only voice appearing on the track. Omar's parents unknowingly making their album debut. Have they heard it?
No, I haven't played it for them. I don't even think she knew I was recording, but we were basically out in Versailles, like a little bit outside of Paris. Outside of Marie Antoinette's castle, because I showed them the movie Marie Antoinette. They're like, oh, we wanna go, like, can you take us? And then so I took them. Probably like one of the most memorable times with my parents, for sure. They're getting older, so it's nice to be around and then hear them speak, because when you get older, when they see you're an individual and have your own thoughts and ideas, it becomes like a different relationship. They're not like a superhero anymore, they're like humans.
One of the things that I think is interesting as a son of, you know, Cuban immigrants, I think back to my abuelos and abuelas and everything that they put into coming to this country. So I imagine that for you, it's probably very similar with being, you know, first generation here in this country too.
Yeah, I think that my parents coming from Guadalajara and starting a life in Indiana, like a very conservative Midwest state, was like their big kind of, you know, step in their life that changed everything for them. And I think that allowed me to think outside of survival. Although, like, we didn't have money growing up, we didn't have much, it was very kind of paycheck to paycheck in debt. So I understood You know, the paranoia around one of your kids not being successful.
Omar defying all odds, ready to celebrate this new chapter with his fans, hosting a listening party ahead of his album release.
For them to pivot and be like, I'm gonna be there, what's that feel like for you?
Honestly, it does a lot for my ego, but I try not to let it get to me. But I just love knowing that, like, you know, I want to be here, they want to come see, and they want to, you know, I'm going to play new music off of the album. Some of the more exciting tracks, because I feel like, you know, I have a lot of sad music, but there's a lot of dancey music on this next one, so I'm excited.
Some in the crowd have been following his career since the beginning.
Omar Apollo has impacted my life, I would say, particularly when I'm Puerto Rican. So, like, I kind of got into, like, I wasn't really attached to my culture and heritage. I just, like, never got to see that much of, like, queer representation in Latino spaces when I was growing up.
There's no beating him. I mean, it's incredible to watch him. And his projection in the last couple of years has just been astounding to see.
If Omar Apollo wasn't as authentic as he is in being who he is and showing the world who he is, would you be where you are right now?
You know what, I had this conversation the other day, just like about how the public can read authenticity more than they ever have. Like, you know, things are, you know, they see through everything, like, oh, we know you're promoting it. Oh, we know you're doing a sponsor. Oh, we know you're doing this. Get your money, twin, like, stuff like that. So it's like, I understand how important authenticity is. I don't want to change who I am or change my personality or change my look. That doesn't feel authentic to me. But there's many examples and where you have to kind of set boundaries, especially in the music industry. It could be kind of hard to navigate. But I feel like somebody's guiding me. I don't know. Like, you know, it feels like there's somebody there.
Our thanks to Gio for that conversation. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, growing backlash against a Kansas City chief kicker who made controversial comments about women and the LGBTQ plus community, how the NFL is responding. Plus, see the taqueria, the first ever to receive a Michelin star.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
We are part of an operation.
Is this our combat operations center?
We're approaching the gate. Militants came in from different directions. Nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag.
Not a tear in it.
How important it made the USA. Great work.
Hi. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ismael?
David.
David.
I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
If you want a relationship, a happy relationship, you need to be in control of that relationship.
Andrew Tate is one of many male supremacy influencers.
You see him as this guy that has money, has girls. Basically, he's a god.
His compound, what prosecutors say, he ran a sex trafficking business from.
We're not the first affluent, wealthy men who have been unfairly attacked.
You think he raped you?
They never meant for any of this to be public.
Someone has to say there's something wrong going around here.
Andrew Tate, Into the Manosphere, now streaming on Hulu.
We're trying to get answers for the community at large, even if maybe some of the community doesn't feel like they need those answers.
I have covered child homicides before, and now my daughter's autopsy will be made public one day.
Those who felt her will never know peace.
Did you just stand there and let my friend's child die?
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead. Hang on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer.
It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
the team that brought you the DuPont Award-winning report, a groundbreaking new investigation spanning 9,000 miles, Trashed: The Secret Life of Plastic Exports. Stream free on Hulu.
I experienced a lot of heartache. It's taken me a long time to even get to this moment.
And the CMA Award for Entertainer of the Year goes to Lainey Wilson.
Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Shohei Ohtani, legends of the game. But now the list of greats redefined. From ABC News, Reclaim the Forgotten League, a side of the story of baseball you have never heard before like this. The award-winning podcast is back. Listen wherever you get your podcasts or scan the QR codes you see here.
Right now, there's just so much happening in our world. So much at stake
At the start of every morning.
And that's why at Good Morning America,
we're right here. And we got you.
We got you.
We got you. Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. This is ABC News Live Prime. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, including the big moments in court when Donald Trump's one-time fixer Michael Cohen was cross-examined by the former president's lawyers as they sought to cast doubt on Cohen's testimony. We have all the details. Plus, Ukraine's push to keep Russia at bay. Our exclusive sit-down with President Zelensky on the front lines. And the European city honors the Hamas hostages by renaming their own memorial in their honor. But we do begin with that searing cross-examination of Donald Trump's one-time confidant and fixer Michael Cohen. Trump in court today focused on the witness stand as his lawyer sought to portray the prosecution's star witness as a serial liar out for revenge. The defense pressing Cohen on lies it told in other cases and accusing him of lying about a key phone call in the Stormy Daniels case. Playing expletive-laden clips from Cohen's podcast, jurors heard him lashing out at Trump and saying, quote, "I want this man to go down." Our Aaron Katersky is at the courthouse with more on today's testimony and what's ahead in the case.
Donald Trump has often seemed tuned out during his criminal trial, head back, eyes closed. But today, the former president alert and riveted, watching his lawyer grill his longtime fixer Michael Cohen, painting Cohen as a vengeful liar whose testimony is not to be believed. Cohen is the only witness to testify he spoke directly with Trump about the hush payment to porn star Stormy Daniels. And today, Trump's lawyers trying to pick his story apart and create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury.
Back up.
Defense attorney Todd Blanche zeroed in on a phone call in October 2016, days before the election. Cohen previously testified he called Trump's bodyguard Keith Schiller to get Trump on the line, and then he and Trump finalized the plan for Cohen to pay off Daniels. But Blanche said that wasn't the real reason for the call, producing text messages suggesting Cohen was actually calling Trump's bodyguard to complain he was getting prank calls from a 14-year-old. Blanche insisted Cohen misled the jury when he testified the call was about the hush money. That was a lie, the defense lawyer thundered. You were actually talking to Mr. Schiller that you were getting harassing phone calls. Part of it was the 14-year-old, Cohen conceded, but I knew that Keith was with Trump at the time. That was a lie, Blanche fired back. You did not talk to President Trump that night. You can admit it. Cohen kept his cool. No, sir, I can't, he responded, because I'm not sure that's accurate. Trump's defense pointed out the call in question was 96 seconds, but Cohen stuck to his story, insisting it covered both the prank phone calls he received and the hush money scheme. The defense did not get into the plan to pay off the porn star, that Cohen took out a home equity line of credit to cover the hush money and that Trump later paid him back. Instead, the defense tried to chip away at Cohen's credibility, painting him as a serial liar, angry, who turned on Trump when he didn't get a White House job. Cohen acknowledged he was disappointed he was never even considered to be White House chief of staff, saying, "I would have liked to be considered for ego purposes." But he repeatedly claimed he never actually wanted the job, preferring what he called a hybrid role outside government, telling the jury there was no shame in being personal attorney to the President of the United States. Throughout his testimony, Cohen has been calm and measured. Today, Trump's lawyers wanted the jury to get a sense of the bombastic figure we've seen before, playing this excerpt of Cohen on his podcast railing against Trump.
You better believe I want this man to go down and rot inside for what he did to me and my family.
Our thanks to Aaron Katursky. With the presidential election quickly approaching, Vice President Harris has now agreed to a debate as well. CBS News offered to host the VP debate in either July or August. Both dates would be much earlier than when Harris and Mike Pence squared off in October 2020. Still no word on who presumptive GOP nominee Donald Trump might pick for VP. As previously announced, the presidential debate in September will be co-hosted by ABC News, and I will co-moderate that debate with World News Tonight anchor David Muir. Now to the White House. President Biden exerted executive privilege tonight to block the release of audio recordings of his interview with special counsel Robert Hur about the president's handling of classified documents. Tonight, the White House says the transcripts are out, so the audio isn't necessary. Now the Attorney General is under fire. Let's bring in Mary Bruce at the White House with the details. Hey, Mary.
Hey, Lindsay. Well, the president is using his executive privilege to try and stop House Republicans from getting access to the audio of his interviews with the special counsel regarding his handling of classified documents. The White House accusing Republicans of seeking to manipulate the tapes for political gain after the special counsel described the president in those interviews as a, quote, elderly man with a poor memory. Now, you'll recall the full interview transcripts, as you note, are already out there, and the special counsel declined to bring charges against the president. Biden now, though, using this privilege, something Donald Trump did as well, at the request of his Attorney General Merrick Garland, who is also warning that politics is at play here and cautioning that releasing the audio could have lasting impacts on future investigations. But, Lindsay, Republicans are not going to drop this. They are now moving ahead, trying to hold Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, in contempt for refusing to turn over these tapes.
They are relentless there. Mary Bruce from the White House. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
We're following severe storms, a tornado watch, and the highest level of alert for life-threatening flooding in several states. Our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z, is timing it all out for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hi there, Lindsay. It's only 4% of the WPC's warnings that go to this level 4 out of 4, so it's quite rare to see on a map. But that high risk is focused on the piney woods of parts of Texas and Louisiana, and it's really tonight where we're going to see that life-threatening flash flooding. Now, let's talk about the timing and let's talk about the other threats, because Dallas is in their third wettest to date year. Houston has a half a foot or more above average to date. And on top of this, they've got tornado watches all the way through Lafayette, into Baton Rouge almost there. Lake Charles has it, Cameron, Louisiana. And so tonight you'll have to watch not just for tornadoes, but severe thunderstorms also in southeastern New Mexico and West Texas. The flood watch goes all the way over to Pensacola and Mobile. I want to take you through the timing. Jackson, Mississippi, down to Lake Charles by about 10 p.m. tonight has that line blasting through. So if you're driving I-10, a lot of people do late night tonight into the overnight hours near New Orleans, please beware that you could encounter this strong line of storms with damaging winds, and remember, up to 3-inch per hour rainfall rates. And then it kind of slides into Alabama and the Florida Panhandle by 5 a.m. Tomorrow, though, we reinvigorate the atmosphere. Very similar pattern, shifts right over, and damaging wind would be the main hazard. Lindsay.
A lot going on. All right, Ginger, our thanks to you. Now to Ukraine, where ABC News was granted an exclusive interview with President Zelensky. What he says he needs to stop Russia from taking Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv. That's where James Longman is tonight with the details.
Tonight, the fight to secure Kharkiv threatens Ukraine's entire war effort. And so, despite near-daily missile attacks, President Zelensky rushed here to boost morale and sound the alarm.
It's an indication of just how serious the situation is that President Zelensky has had to cancel his foreign trips, come here to Kharkiv and meet the men who are fighting to defend this city.
Zelensky handing out medals to some of the 500 soldiers injured in just the past week.
A lot of guys gave their lives.
In an exclusive interview with ABC News, the Ukrainian leader was clearly frustrated by weapon and ammunition delays and the U.S. aid package that had been stalled in Congress.
How serious is the situation right now?
It's difficult, it's serious, so brigades are not totally equipped because of the package which we waited through 8 months.
Is what's happening now in Kharkiv, is this America's fault?
It's the fault of the world, but now the world can help.
The president grateful for American support. It says a priority must be a pair of U.S. Patriot missile defense systems to keep the Russians out of Kharkiv.
If we are speaking about this region, Russia can't occupy this if, for example, 2 Patriots will stay in this region. Just 2 systems.
Americans are worried about how much money is being spent in Ukraine. What's your message to them?
all this money, we don't get any money. All this money, they goes to the factories in the United States. And then these factories gives jobs to Americans. And then weapon goes to us.
But today's visit was for the wounded. Vasil is honored by his medal. He was injured by Russian artillery fire. We couldn't even see the enemy, he says. But he doesn't want the credit.
He's clearly proud, but this war is a lot more than about any one man. He's thinking about his comrades, many of whom have died.
Our thanks to James. And we are learning more about the man blamed for the assassination attempt on Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico. In a press conference, the gunman has been described as a lone wolf who was recently radicalized following the country's presidential election. The Prime Minister is known for his pro-Russian stance, anti-immigration and anti-LGBTQ leanings. Fico is said to be in serious condition. A temporary pier from the U.S. has arrived in Gaza and will soon be ready to accept deliveries of much-needed aid. Meantime, convoys trying to deliver aid by land are confronting blocks from small groups of Israelis, sometimes with the tacit support of Israeli soldiers. ABC's Matt Gutman reports from Israel tonight.
New images tonight of that U.S.-built floating pier now anchored to the beach in Gaza, just south of some of the heaviest fighting. About twice as long as an aircraft carrier, the pier will allow desperately needed aid to be brought by ship directly into Gaza. About 1,000 U.S. military personnel involved, but it'll be up to the UN to coordinate distribution, and U.S. officials stress there will be no boots on the ground. The first delivery of 500 tons of aid expected within days.
You should really think of this as a crawl, walk, run. It's going to start off small and scale up.
It comes at a critical moment with fighting in Rafah choking off aid by land and daily blockades from small groups of Israelis. Today, we witnessed these men stopping trucks.
So what they're trying to do is block trucks like this, you can see this kid running, and demand the ID of the drivers. That's how they know whether they're delivering aid or not. Easy, easy.
The soldier offering the agitators information about the aid convoys, then coming out and threatening us not to film it. It comes as Israel increasingly seems bogged down in Gaza. 5 were killed in a friendly fire incident in northern Gaza, where the IDF says Hamas has regrouped.
Our thanks to Matt Gutman. The NFL is distancing itself from Kansas City kicker Harrison Butker's commencement speech at Benedictine College. During his 20-minute speech to the Catholic Liberal Arts College, the 28-year-old referred to Pride Month and his example of deadly sins and claimed a woman's most important title is homemaker. He also called for a return to more conservative Catholicism, criticizing abortion, IVF, and surrogacy. In a statement, the NFL said Butker's views do not reflect those of the league. The president of GLAAD, which advocates for the rights of queer representation, called Butker's words ill-informed. And we still have much more to get to tonight. Coming up, one European city honors the Hamas hostages by renaming their own memorial in their honor. Plus, aging, it's of course a part of life, and talking about it can be empowering. Our conversation with Dr. Sharon Malone, who's helping women become the best advocates for their own health.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed.
Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives, and the magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky,
Minneapolis,
Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
I experienced a lot of heartache. It's taken me a long time to even get to this moment.
And the CMA Award for Entertainer of the Year goes to Lainey Wilson.
This is not about parents who just let their kid watch violent movies or play violent video games. This is about parents who neglected their son, ignored his cries for help, and then bought him a gun.
The first parents in America to be charged in a school shooting.
They purchased that gun for him and bragged about it.
You don't get to walk away from that. That's a criminal act.
sins of the parents, the Crumbly Trials.
The opposite of love is not hate. It's just being ignored.
Only on Hulu.
With so much at stake in our world right now, more Americans turn here to David than anywhere else. And now, America's most trusted, most watched newscast, ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir, is available to you on YouTube.
Reporting from Portland International Airport, I'm Jacqueline Lee. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Crowds of students rallied in front of universities in Libyan cities to show solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Libyan students and staff were seen holding Palestinian flags and placards portraying the suffering of Gazans amid the ongoing conflict. Israeli forces have pressed into the east of Rafah in pursuit of what they say are 4 Hamas battalions, despite warnings by the United States to hold off to avoid mass civilian casualties. The historic site of Nazi book burnings in Berlin has been symbolically renamed Hamas Hostage Square. Family members of hostages held by Hamas commemorated the victims of the October 7th attack and those remaining in Hamas captivity. Several art installations have been put in place, including 132 empty chairs. A 10 by 10-foot taqueria is the first to ever receive a Michelin star. El Califa de Leon received 1 star, recognizing its high-quality cooking, according to Michelin. Surprisingly, it only serves 4 varieties of tacos: beef filet, beef steak, pork chop, and beef rib. Former First Lady Michelle Obama has called our next guest one of the smartest, funniest, and most charismatic women she knows. And now leading OBGYN Dr. Sharon Malone is sharing some of her wisdom, experience, and humor with readers when it comes to women's health. Her new book, Grown Woman Talk, Your Guide to Getting and Staying Healthy, gives a practical guide to aging and being a woman who has felt disregarded or disempowered in the healthcare system. Dr. Malone gives a personal and relatable look into how you can be the best and most important advocate for your health. And joining us now is none other than Dr. Sharon Malone, Chief Medical Advisor for Alloy Women's Health. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you've been practicing medicine for more than 30 years in our nation's capital. Why did you decide, you know what, I'm going to write a book?
You know, when I stopped practicing, I did it rather abruptly because, you know, I was part of that great COVID resignation and I left the end of 2020. And I didn't really feel like I was done. And I wanted to be able to use all of this wisdom, all of this knowledge and expertise and sort of leverage it over many, many, many women as opposed to just one-on-one in my office.
You mentioned your mom. You talk a lot in the book about your upbringing, growing up in Alabama, losing your mom to colon cancer early on. And I thought it was really interesting. You talked about the idea of those medical records that die, knowing the family history medically, how important that is. Explain why people need to really talk about that.
You know, the thing that we don't talk a lot about is our health, and particularly to our elders. And I think medical history and our family history is so important because it gives us just the signposts. It gives us the warning signs, not necessarily what we will have, but what we may be predisposed to. And that's why I think it's important that everyone know. Your family history does not destine you to repeat that, but it lets you know what things you need to watch out for.
You talk about vitamins and supplements, and you say most are harmless, some do nothing, including what they claim. Some vitamins are known to interact poorly with certain prescription meds. You go on to say you should pay close attention to anything you ingest, including things that are purported to be good for you. Be aware that natural and organic are marketing schemes. Do you know what else is natural and organic? Bull bleep. And that's where it gets into the real grown woman talk. But what should we be looking for? What should we know? I think I'm doing something good for my body, but who knows?
Yeah, I think that you should think of supplements just as that. Nothing substitutes for a healthy diet of whole foods, of whole grains, and non-processed foods. So just understand that. The supplement market isn't really regulated the same way as drugs are. So there's really no duty to prove that it's effective, and there's really no duty to prove that what's actually in it actually is in it. So, you know, I always say buyer beware when it comes to supplements. If you're spending, you know, $100 a month on supplements, you're probably spending a little bit too much on that.
And you talk also about women who are 45, which I'm in that category, should start thinking about menopausal hormone therapy, something that I never thought of.
You know, the thing about perimenopause and menopause is that it sneaks up on you way sooner than you think. And I think that a lot of women think that menopause is something that happens to you when you're older. But no, that transition really starts in your early 40s, and for some women, even in their late 30s. And that is really why when I left my practice, I did a lot of menopausal care, and I transitioned to Alloy Women's Health, because there are so few doctors out there that really know how to treat and how to counsel women about this very important phase of their lives. I mean, imagine we're going to spend a third of our lives in menopause, and yet most of us walk into this blindly. And we are not really helped by our doctors, and we're not really talking to each other either.
While this is for all women, you do talk about some of those scary medical issues that often confront Black women, maternity mortality rate, for example. Quite often we hear the statistics, we know that they're out there, but what should we actually do about it? What can we do?
Prevention is a big message in this book, and that's really what I want people to understand, is that this is not something that you should be afraid of or fearful about. There's a lot that we can do. And so whether you enter this story, and whether you're 20-something, 30-something, or 70-something, as long as you're a grown woman, there's something in this book for you. And I like to say, when I was assembling the stories for my book, you know, everyone knows that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. Well, my book is What to Expect If You Expect to Live Beyond 40.
Oh, that's good. I like that. All right. Not only a DJ and a doctor and an author, you're all these things. Thank you, Dr. Malone. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we want to let our viewers know her book, Grown Woman Talk, Your Guide to Getting and Staying Healthy, is available now wherever books are sold. And still to come, inventive, creative, and some just ridiculously good food. We're going inside the mind behind the mythical cookbook and all of the one-of-a-kind recipes inside.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work. Hi. Where are you? Where are you? Appreciate you. Thank you.
David, good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
I watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Here's to good mornings in America.
Can you feel the love? Oh, yeah.
Mornings that inspire, filled with hope, kindness, joyous surprises, and so much fun.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Start your day with Good Morning America's ray of sunshine, highlighting the best of America and helping
make dreams come true.
Wow. I'm just so happy.
It's so good.
Get ready to smile and put the good into your morning, America, because
You know what will make the morning better? A little ray of sunshine.
Hi, I'm Andy. And I'm Sabrina. And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there. And you know what we love? Really love? Pop culture. So what happens when being obsessed with pop culture collides with being a mom? You get us. So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go.
We are heading into the unknown.
It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
We turn now to our weekly segment, TikTok, where we take a closer look at the story behind the sensation. Gatorade, muffins, ramen, nachos, everything bagel fondue. Bizarre, but oddly delicious. When it comes to these concoctions, our next guest would say, don't knock it until you try it. Chef Josh Scherer, the face of cooking show Mythical Kitchen, is bringing his secret sauce to your home with the launch of the Mythical Cookbook. Let's take a look.
I want to feel something. I want to feel something. Oh, the vapors, the vapors. Oh, the vapors. 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
Oh, wait, no, that is like...
What is happening?
Smokes.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
I have the onion.
Yep.
The Vapors. Josh, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, especially now that my eyes have cleared up from all the onion vapors.
From all the onions. You know what? A tip my grandmother used to say, take a piece of bread and put it in your mouth while you're cutting the onions, and then your eyes don't tear. Try it.
At least you got a piece. At least you got a piece of bread in your mouth. Even
That's
if that
right. If nothing else. So, what sparked your passion of being a chef?
Oh my gosh, I feel like there are two roads here. Either your parents were very good cooks or your parents were very bad cooks. And I happen to be in the second side of that. And so neither of my parents knew how to cook growing up. I knew if I wanted good food, I had to make it myself. Luckily, I was parked in front of the TV for several hours a day, every day. And so I watched all the Food Network greats at the time, Rachel Ray, Tyler Florence, Bobby Flay, and they really, really inspired me. And so now I'm kind of the second generation of food media coming up. And so ever since then, I've just been hooked.
And after nearly 5 years of planning, how does it feel to finally see your cookbook come alive?
It's honestly so special to be able to hold something in your hands. You know, I've been making internet videos for about 5 years, and to actually have something physical and tangible with beautiful pictures to actually be able to flip through and knowing that it's in tens of thousands of homes and people cooking from it, it's very special.
And we mentioned off the top some of the things that you have, the ramen nachos, the Gatorade muffins. Where do you come up with these ideas?
You know, we're kind of the mad scientists of food here in the Mythical Kitchen is how I like to think about it. And so Gatorade muffins are solving an easy problem, right? You're waking up, you're hungry, you need something sweet and delicious, but you also want to stay hydrated. Boom, electrolytes in your muffin. Turns out it tastes pretty good too.
You show snippets of these recipes and much more on your TikTok. Tell us how the app has really helped you to become an ingredient for success.
Sure. TikTok has been absolutely instrumental in giving a platform that can just really make things go viral out of nowhere. The first video that we ever uploaded got about 2.5 million views, and it was actually us deep frying a hammer and putting it in a hot dog bun. So I'm not exactly proud of that, but I will say we've uploaded a lot more legit recipes since then, and it's just brought together such an incredible community of people, people who make the recipes themselves and then tag us. So it's a great way to get information out there.
You're also executive director at Mythical Entertainment, where you host the popular Last Meal series, interviewing A-listers like Jason Kelce, Gordon Ramsay, Post Malone. Did any of them have any cooking skills? Well, obviously, Gordon Ramsay, we know, but Jason Kelce, Post Malone?
Jason Kelce did not have any cooking skills. Neither did Post Malone, but Jason Kelce's mom, one of his last meals items was actually an Easter biscuit recipe she makes where she puts a marshmallow inside of a crescent roll that is brushed with butter and sugar. Oh. And then it bakes, and the marshmallow actually evaporates out, creating a hole in the middle of the dough. And Mrs. Kelce, Mama Kelce, that is some next level cookery that Gordon Ramsay himself would be proud of.
Josh, thank you so much for joining us. For imaginative cookery with a side of humor, check out Josh on TikTok at Mythical Kitchen, and you can buy the Mythical Cookbook anywhere books are sold. And that is our show for tonight. I'm Lindsay Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and, of course, on abcnews.com. The news never stops. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Whenever news breaks,
we are here in